Welcome to our morning show today on WRCO Radio. We are here to talk about treatment court, and we have Savannah Huber here. And we're going to talk to a graduate of the treatment court, and we are going to talk a little bit about that, what it entails. Here to join us, Savannah Huber. And also, Latasha is in the studio with us as well. Savannah, welcome back. When you come back, that means that there are some good things going on.
Yes, right? Definitely. Thank you.
Tell us about what you do.
So I am presently the treatment court coordinator for Richland County. I kind of facilitate things amongst the participants, providers, probation, and the courts. Kind of bring all the information pieces together and get everything prepared for court that we have every other week. And I'm like the middleman of everything. So,
does every county kind of have someone that does what you do then?
For the most part, I think I'm not sure how many in total in the state, but there's a few counties that don't have a program, but all of our surrounding counties do have a treatment court program.
You told me before we went on the air, Savannah, that there have been quite a few success stories.
Yes, I believe since treatment court started in 2017, we've had, 46 successful graduates from the program. So very, very exciting, very good things.
Tell us about what it entails for someone to become a graduate.
So you start off the program. It's pretty intense right off the bat. You have a lot of appointments right away with myself, your probation agent, treatment providers, whatever, duration of treatment it is that you're needing. You'll go to court. You have UA testing at least 2 to 3 times a week. On top of, group meetings, if we have group, any other, requirements that we have for you. So it's not meant to be easy, but it's certainly meant to help kind of set you down a good path.
What's the difference between drug court and then you also have if somebody is going through an OWI situation?
Correct. Yep. So we have drug court, which is meant for individuals who have criminal charges that entail substance use of, any drug-related item. And then for sobriety court is for anybody that has any sort of alcohol-related convictions. So you don't necessarily have to have OWIs to get into sobriety court. You could pick up charges where alcohol was a contributing factor. So we've had some people graduate from that program as well who didn't necessarily get in for OWIs, but just having alcohol kind of caused them some problems.
Does then the judge sometimes send people your way then? Is that how that works?
Yes and no. So we can get referrals from anyone. You can self-refer, the district attorney, probation, jail staff, anyone from the police department, sheriff's department, anyone really. You fill out an application, it comes to me, and then from there I kind of reach out and see if you meet the eligibility requirements of the program, which is being a resident of Richland County, over the age of 17. If it's OWI related, you have to have 4 or under. Drug related charges, you have to have a certain risk or need level to meet, a certain diagnosis, things like that. So after you've kind of checked off all those boxes, then it either goes in the court's hands for you to get sentenced to treatment court, or if you're on probation, you can use it as an alternative to being revoked.
Your job, there's a lot of success stories, but there are some, that maybe fall a little bit short. And I'm guessing you have to learn to not take it personally, right?
Right, yeah. And recovery is about progress. It's not perfection right off the bat. So there are people who do fall back. There are people who have to kind of start over, back at square one, but it's all about the process, and recovery in itself it's not meant to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect.
If someone relapses and they're in this program, then they go back to square one and then start over the next step then? Or how does that work?
No. So treatment court is an incentive or sanction-based program. So right off the bat, we don't typically sanction or punish you, if you will, for use and relapses, because when you're starting the program, that's going to happen. We can expect you to just drop everything right off the bat. So in later stages of the program, if relapse happens, then it's essentially more of a big deal because we wouldn't expect that from you. But right off the bat, it's kind of we take it because it's going to happen.
You have had a chance to bring a few in. I know this is maybe our third or fourth graduate.
Yeah, I was just talking about that. I think it might be my fourth time here. So.
And it's not part of the process, but you bring in people you believe their story maybe can touch some lives in the area.
Right, exactly. I believe there was a previous graduate we had who she wasn't here, but she had mentioned something about like recovering out loud. So I feel like if we can get some individuals in here to kind of tell their story, it helps, let other people out in the community or, surrounding communities know like there are people out there that are recovering, have recovered, can do it. And just that little bit of help or push to kind of get people going and, throughout their own recovery journey and things like that.
What would you like to say about the young lady that you brought along here today?
What would I like to say about Latasha? I would like to say that I'm very proud of her. She had a very, very rocky start. She started back in 2023. She was one that was really in kind of the depths of addiction. It took quite a while for her to come out of it. We were up and down and backwards and forwards, and I think every which way we could possibly be with her. But then she kind of grasped on to everything we were throwing at her, trying to get her, to dive into and deal with and get through. And now here we are, and I believe she mentioned 495 days sober, which is huge. If I compare, the person sitting next to me today and the person I met back in August of 2023, it's incredible. It's a complete, night and day difference between who she was and who she is now, it's awesome. And it's, I think, I know it's one of the favorite parts of my job is seeing, where they were to where they are now and everything they've gained throughout, their time in the program. I love it. It's great.
Congratulations, Latasha.
Thank you.
That's pretty awesome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you would. Did you grow up in the area?
I did not. I grew up in Mazomanie. I kind of moved around a lot throughout my life. It hasn't always been easy, for school. We didn't stay in school as long before we moved along. I also grew up with a parent who had addiction, so.
Sorry to hear that, because that's a fairly common story, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
When did you first start abusing substances?
Unfortunately, I started testing substances at the age of 12.
What was your pretty much drug of choice?
When I got older, my drug of choice kind of flipped, but it started out with heroin and became a very rough, hard addiction for a few years. But then alcohol became my main go-to once I was done with that. And moved on to smoking crack cocaine, and my final DOC drug of choice ended up being methamphetamine.
You've been in other programs. Why do you feel that they didn't work for you?
Maybe there was more accountability where I had more people in different corners per se. And since I have my coordinator Savannah, I have my counselor, I have my probation officer, and then I got Judge Lisa. So I kind of have all these other corners, and then I'm in the other corner. So I kind of feel like it kind of keeps me in a squared section, I guess, if you look at it that way, where I just had that support, where I didn't before. I think most of the treatments, not saying they didn't do their job, but at the same time, it was just, help get you in there. Most me anyways personally just kind of went through it just to do it, get it done and move along so I can go do what I wanted to do when I was done.
Did you feel like you were more of a number with those other programs then?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
And so with this, here in Richland County, it's almost like, you were held more accountable, but did you feel like you didn't want to let those people down that were going to bat for you?
So initially, I was incarcerated in the jail, and for years I've heard about treatment courts in other counties, and everybody having these like, oh, I'm in treatment court, and how it's so rough, and they got a lot to do. And I had to have some time in jail. It wasn't very long, but just some thinking time. And I'm like, maybe that's something I need, something that is a little stronger and harder. So I halfway kind of like, oh, can I get an application? And it worked. It's working. So it ended up being a benefit to me.
That's awesome. So you get up every day and you're grateful and you're thankful, right?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
And so do you have to check in periodically or every day with someone?
So my window for check-in time is noon to 2. Correct, Savannah? Okay, yes. So that's what I do.
Have you set some goals for the future now that you'd like to accomplish?
One is, so we've been trying to talk with like the mayor, me and my husband and a few other people, coworkers that are in my corner. We would like to try to be a little bit more community active people as a group. So we're working on getting something going for that.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So maybe some community groups where you can get together with people that maybe are suffering and things like that. Yeah. So that's awesome. Well, tell me about your family now.
So I have a big family. It's me and my husband. I've had seven kids, 6 boys, 1 girl. So yeah, I got a big family.
Are they pretty much all in the area then?
All of them are, except for 2. One's in Dane County. He's my oldest, and then my second oldest lives in Spring Green. Okay. The rest are back home with me.
What's your relationship like with your children these days?
A lot better. It's, I think, more so with them being home because they get to see mom, especially the older ones. They've dealt with seeing mom in her rough life. So now just seeing that I go to work, I come home, I cook, clean, do things that a normal mom should be doing. What I think is normal.
So you got full-time employment then? You're working? And
Yes, I work at Foremost now. So
awesome.
Been there a year.
Good for you. So that's got to be gratifying. As you look back, and I'm guessing that you've met a lot of people along the way that have not been able to get over the top like you have.
Yes.
Do you maintain some of those connections with people you knew, or is it better not to?
It's better not to. I've been told, throughout different treatments, like, you got to let go of the people, and that used to be a hard attachment because I always thought they were my friends. But since I've started doing treatment here and I've talked about that I'm doing this, I kind of see where nobody really talks to me anymore. So I've kind of seen them true colors. So it made that a little bit easier to let go of some of them ties,
They weren't true friends.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. When you're in a treatment center and you're trying, as you mentioned, you're doing what you got to, you're doing your time, so to speak, and all you can think about is going back there to those old friends. I mean, for those of us that are not in that situation, it's hard to fathom that.
Right.
But that's kind of the way it is, isn't it?
It is.
And so at some point you got to cut those ties and...
Yeah, especially there's also some family members that are still in active use, and that makes it somewhat not easier, but hard, to let go, but not, because it's seeing my family members in them position kind of like a reflection sees me like this. So it kind of makes it easy for me to keep that distance, but it also makes it hard because they're family, So all I can do is be supportive to them at a distance, I've learned to set boundaries.
How easy is it to get drugs?
Unfortunately, it's too easy. I'm pretty sure it's a matter of just you can. For me personally, I as an old addict or however you want to put it, I feel like I can see it in other people how they act, what they're doing, and it would probably just be just as easy as asking them, and finding out, just kind of talking to them for a minute. I bet I could. Not me personally, but
so you can kind of pick somebody out of the crowd, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. So, and you mentioned alcohol as well. Is it as easy to get as alcohol? It seems like for a lot of people it must be.
It'd be just as easy if you walked into a gas station and be able to get it, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
incredible. Yeah, it really is. And we'll come back and talk a little bit more. Very powerful conversation today. Latasha is our guest, Savannah Huber from Treatment Court here in Richland County, and we'll have more coming up in a moment.
This is Lynette at the Prescription Center. I am back to talk to you about the new Medicare Part D plans. It is time to review your plan for next year. There have been many changes. Most plans have a beginning deductible. Many also require mail order. Once again, we will help you select a plan which will save you money and allow you to continue to fill your prescription locally. It also may be beneficial to add senior care to your plan. As always, we will guide you through this process at no cost, even if you are not a regular visitor to our store. Stop by and we will find the best option for you. We also have the ability to have all your prescriptions filled on the same day. Although I must admit we enjoy seeing our friends more often, we also provide monthly medication management, and as with everything else we do, there is no cost to you. We are an approved provider for Medicare. You are able to obtain your supplies locally at no cost and not depend on mail order. The Richland Family Prescription Center, where you and your family always come first.
At Rockwell Automation in Richland Center, they're more than a company, they're part of the community. Their team includes coaches, board members, firefighters, and EMTs. Neighbors helping neighbors. Now, Rockwell wants to connect with local nonprofit and 501c3 groups for volunteer and donation opportunities. If your organization would like to partner, call 647-9400. Rockwell Automation, ingrained in the community, dedicated to making a difference.
Get it done before Christmas. Time is running out, and they're booking up fast at Badgerland Flooring in Richland Center. The floor you've been dreaming of could be ready just in time for the holidays. Choose from luxurious carpets, hardwoods, and hand-scraped, distressed, or smooth finishes, plus durable laminate, ceramic, and vinyl. Every purchase comes with Badgerland's 60-day assurance guarantee. Don't wait. Make your home shine for the holidays. Visit BadgerlandFlooring.com today.
Hey, hunters, after a long day in the stand, fuel up at Pine River Smoke Company in downtown Richland Center. Wood smoked barbecue, hearty sides, and local flavor, all fired up and ready for you. Take it to go on Tuesdays or come on Fridays and Saturdays 4:30 to 8 for a sit-down feast. Look for the flyer flying downtown and follow Pine River Smoke on Facebook for specials. Pine River Smoke Company, where the smoke's hot and the flavor hits the spot. At Passages, we believe no one should face trauma alone. Every day, we help victims of domestic violence and sexual assault find hope, healing, and safety through shelter services, counseling, crisis response, community education, and prevention efforts. All our services are free because everyone deserves care and compassion without barriers. You can make a difference. Volunteer your time, your heart, your skills, and help others move forward. Visit www.passagesrc.com and click on the I Want to Help tab to learn more or call 1-800-236-HEAL.
Hi there, it's Scott from Pentatonics. So from the beginning of our journey in music, the foundation has been music education. It's so incredibly important that we continue to show kids the importance of music in our schools, in our homes, and even in the car. Music is such a powerful expression of emotion and individuality, and we are responsible for keeping the love for music alive. This message is courtesy of the United States Air Force.
Let's take a moment to breathe. Deep inhale. Extend your spine. Remain focused on what you're doing. If safe to do so, exhale slowly, leaning to one side. Inhale back to center. If safe to do so, exhale slowly to the opposite side. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org. This message is brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Richland County Drug Court, our topic on this portion of the morning show. Savannah Huber is here, treatment court coordinator, and Latasha here telling her a story as well. Savannah, let's talk a little bit about how the treatment court works and possibly the 5 phases that those in the program have to go through.
Sure. Yes. So starting off, treatment court as a whole is 5 total phases. It's approximately, at minimum, 14 months. The starting phase, or phase 1, you're in for a minimum of 60 to 90 days. So it kind of depends on So we have a list of things to accomplish within that phase. Starting phase, we just kind of want you to get adjusted to the program, kind of start building those relationships with some of our treatment court staff, kind of get a little bit more stable, if you will, without being, fully stable, because we don't expect people to be, able to obtain housing, employment, within the first couple months of attempting to do away with their substance of choice. Phase 2 is where we kind of press on stability a little bit more. That phase is supposed to be a minimum of 90 days. Again, with the same kind of objective criteria of meeting certain things before you can apply to go into the next phase. If you do reach, let's say your 90 days, you're not subject to immediately pass and go into the next stage. And that's the same for any phase of the program. The date duration is supposed to be, it's just a minimum guideline. It's just used as a reference. We want you to be, stable, secure, and all of those things before we move you on to have, more criteria to meet, more things, to obtain, gain, do in the later stages of the program. 3, 4, and 5 are all 90 days at minimum. Some of them are 120. Again, with the idea of, the later you progress into treatment court, the later stages and phases, we expect you, to get out and do more pro-social things, to build, good, sober friendships, a recovery environment, start paying maybe on some fines and fees that you may have, employment, health insurance, all of these things to really set you up for success. And then by phase 5, we expect you to be in early remission of substance use, so at least 90 days, fully sober from substances of any degree. With, employment, you're working really on your restorative justice. So again, paying off fees that you may have with either probation, the court, anything that you might have. Gained employment, you have stable, safe housing that you could live in for the foreseeable future. And then next up is graduation.
If you have a relapse during that last stage, though, you don't, as you mentioned, go back.
Correct. Yep. So we don't move you back in phases. You're just kind of withheld from advancing. So some of our sanctions that I mentioned earlier for, use, dishonesty, missing appointments, late for appointments, missing UAs, can be community service. You can have your curfew set back. You can come to court more often. You can meet with me more often, meet with your agent more often. Just kind of some things that are not meant to be enjoyable. So that way, the hope is that you don't mess up again and you continue to move forward, so you're not having to, come to my office 2-3 times a week or visit your agent more than every other week or every week, things like that. But at the same time, like I mentioned, there's also the incentive. We want to incentivize you for doing the hard work, for showing up, for meeting, those goals that we had set for you, which we have in court what we call a fishbowl, or it's like a basket. So it's like a basket of a lot of miscellaneous items. A good favorite of everyone appears to be candles or laundry detergent. Just kind of some things that are a little bit more costly, that is like a incentive, a good job. Here's, some free laundry detergent. Here's, just like a little present.
Like a gift.
Yep. Yeah. For doing well, for showing up, for meeting all the requirements of the program within either that month that you've been at court last or within those 2 weeks. We also hand out decision dollars in court. So those are for, making good choices, doing good things. The one big thing that we really push is showing up. So these fake dollars, if you will, kind of come back to me, and you can use them in what I call my treatment court store, where we again have some more bigger bonuses to use, this money on. A big one that people go for are gas cards. I spend an overabundant amount of money on gas cards for people. But I've got some bigger gifts in there as well. There's some like wireless headphones, some Bluetooth speakers that, cost a pretty penny at the store. But throughout your time in the program, you hold on to these decision dollars that you gain, and you can ultimately turn them in. And it's like your reward for, doing well, doing the hard things.
Graduation, is there a cap and gown then? Or
No,
how does that work?
there isn't. It would be neat if there was, though.
So what do you do special, like on the graduation day?
So we have a little plaque that's handed out saying, like Latasha graduated from Richland County Drug Court. We have a little celebration after the court hearing's done. I typically speak. The graduate's treatment provider will usually speak. If anybody else wants to, they can as well. We just kind of we make it a big deal because it is a big deal. It's hard. It's a process to get, from day one to, in Latasha's case, 2 and a few months, 2 years and a few months later, and we're finally kind of approaching the finish line. So we've got cupcakes and snacks and goodies and, all these things to really celebrate everything that they've done to get, to the end, because it's worth celebrating.
Is it the hardest thing you've ever done, Natasha?
Getting sober?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it definitely has been. It has.
Let's take it back a little bit. You mentioned you were on heroin for a while, and
Correct.
then is that a common step, heroin to methamphetamine? Then
It is. From people that I know that I used to either use with or associated with, or even been in treatment with, we were all agreed that heroin, methamphetamine became our gateway off of heroin, but unfortunately became another addiction, another demon to run down.
Is meth cheaper? Is that why it's become more prevalent, or do you know?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. It probably is. I'd imagine it is.
Let's take you back about 5 years ago. You said, was that kind of rock bottom for you?
So that was in 2017 was my my final rock bottom. Not saying that I didn't quit, but there was an unfortunate mishap. Somebody tried to take my life by shooting me 9 times. Due to being under the influence, this person was, and I was in a very toxic relationship with this person. So, that center of knowing that drugs and alcohol was involved, that my life was almost taken. I already played Russian roulette on my own, but mind you, to have somebody else have that control of my life almost that was my ending for it.
My goodness, to be shot at 9 times,
Yes,
and survive, that is incredible. Is there a moment where you thought, maybe there's a reason why I'm still here?
I think that every day.
Do you?
Yes.
You had to fill out an application. Was that like the first step, or how hard was it to make that decision?
So when that happened, I was in jail for, I don't know, maybe 30 days longer. I'm not really sure. But I kind of have, like I said, I put my foot in, kind of like thinking maybe I kind of want this, but maybe, just to see. And I got accepted, and I was like, well, there's no turning back now. So let's take this road, see where it takes me. It's been rough throughout the 2 years that I've been in it, over 2. So, but I'm there.
You've learned a lot about yourself.
I have.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and perseverance. I can't imagine, what you've had to go through. But now, as you look back on it, does the future look pretty bright for you?
It does. My future, especially with my kids, my relationships with them, I've mended quite a few relationships. There's still some that I have to do, but overall, I'm getting trust and respect from other people, understanding, and then just that support in general. So,
feeling good about yourself and loving yourself, that's probably one of the hardest things, isn't it?
It is, because most addicts, we've masked a lot. Like me personally, I'll say, like, I've masked a lot of my trauma stuff, and just kind of, that was where the use kind of covered all that, you know, so to speak. So I thought, so I never dealt with anything. Now, I've been dealing with my counselor even prior to treatment court. So it was kind of nice to have her still there when it came to treatment, me getting back involved with her, and just actually finally dig it in finally. So
yeah, I was going to say that counseling is also a huge part of it, just to kind of get through some of those things that haunt you, right?
Yes.
And so people that are listening today, Savannah, you know, they know someone who's in a similar situation. I guess as a family member, sometimes we feel kind of helpless, don't we?
Correct. Yep. There are, I mean, I certainly want to put out there are, you know, some treatment providers here in the area. There's us at Health and Human Services. There's New Day Counseling, Pine Counseling, certainly mental health providers as well. Those are just kind of the more AODA-based ones that we have. I certainly encourage people to really push for, you know, their loved ones, or, you know, their friends, their brother, their sister, cousin, whatever it may be, to really get the help. You can only do so much, but I think just a little bit of encouragement and support to get them there it can be life-changing.
Mm-hmm. I'm guessing people can try to convince you over the years, Latasha. And
yes, they have. My mom is a success story. So to know that if she can do it, and I've watched how rough it was growing up, that, you know, she still has my back, and she hasn't turned on me. So
mother and daughter have kind of been through this together then.
Yes.
A little bit. So she's been someone that you call upon from time to time for
all
support?
the time.
Yeah. What about your own children?
My own?
They're all doing pretty well?
Oh, they are. You know, they're, like I said, they're home. My adult ones are home with me. May not, should be, but I love it. It's nice because, like I said, you know, they get to see the change. They watch their mom at her very lowest. I'm sure it didn't look good for them, you know. And now, I still have some younger ones. I have two younger ones, a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old. So they've never had to see mom the way the older ones had to see mom, per se. So.
And your husband?
My husband? Yes. He gets to see the big change. He's had my back. We did have an 8-year split up for a while just because of my use, but he still kind of stayed at a distance, and yeah, things are good.
You talked about maybe organizing some sort of group in the future. Nobody can deny that you know, you can't relate to somebody who might be going through a situation like that. So can you see yourself down the road being some sort of you know, counselor or something like that?
I've always kind of wanted to be a motivational speaker. I just never knew how to really put my foot in the door, and so it's something I've always wanted. Even growing up, I wanted to be a counselor for kids, or just anybody that's dealt with any trauma in life, whether it's drugs or, you know, just anything has happened bad, you know.
Maybe a book someday too, right?
That would be nice. I've had people ask me to do that, and it's there. It's the thoughts there.
A book or a movie, you know, how you're shot at 9 times and survived.
Yes.
And then survived all of the ups and downs and the perils. So I appreciate you being so transparent today. This is a very, very moving conversation. I appreciate you coming in, Latasha. Anything either of you would like to add today, Savannah?
The only thing I can add is just remember that there's always somebody there. There's someone there that'll listen. Reach out when you need the help.
Indeed. And thanks for what you do. You mentioned the success stories you've had. Are there any other folks going through the phases right now? I mean, is this kind of a common thing in the county?
Yes. So there's 5 others other than Latasha. They're in kind of the middle grounds or early stages of the program. So it'll be a while yet before we have another, but we're always starting new people. We're always graduating people. It's hopefully going to continue for a very, very long time.
Mm-hmm. We don't make them join us on the radio, but we're glad that they do from time to time.
Yes.
That's not part of the graduation.
No, it's not the send-off.
But we appreciate it. Thanks for setting this up.
Thank you.
You bet. Savannah Huber, Treatment Court Coordinator here in Richland County, and Latasha. They're our guests on this portion of the morning show from WRCO.